to my channel. This video is going to be on the more serious side, and I just want to throw out there before this video starts, please do not take offense to anything that I say. I am pro-choice. It's your body, your life, it's your choices that you want to make for yourself. Everybody handles things differently, and if you don't agree with the choices that I make, that's okay too. And the other thing that I really wanted to throw out there, if you are young, just don't have sex. Or if you do, please use some type of condom or birth control, please, so you don't ever have to be stuck in these situations. That is it. Let's hop right into this video. Okay, so to begin this story, I was 15 years old and I got pregnant. I was very scared. I hid it for months, and finally the truth had to come out. I mean, I couldn't hide it anymore. So I went to my grandmother and my mom, and they were angry. After the anger subsided, it was kind of like, okay, well, what do we do now? What's the plan now? And it was, your three options. A, either you keep the child, B, you do the abortion route, or C, you do the adoption route. Well, I completely just wiped out abortion. I believe everybody makes their own decisions, and however you decide to handle that situation is all on you. Me personally, I couldn't do it. So now we're down to A and B, which is keep him or adoption. So at first, automatically, I'm like, oh, I'm keeping the baby, I'm keeping the baby, I'm keeping the baby. Well, then it came down to, is that really like the best option for the child? When you're that young, your thought process, your knowledge, all of that stuff is very immature. So I went back and forth, and I came down to the decision that adoption was the best thing for me and my child. So the first thing that you have to do is you need to find an adoption center that you really vibe with. The only way that the process is going to go as smoothly as it possibly can is to have a good connection with everybody involved. You need to feel comfortable, you need support, you need love. So I chose Bethany Christian Services, and they were maybe 2 hours, it was about 2.5 hours away from me, and but it was so worth it. They have counseling as well as helping you with adoption, so that's why I kind of gravitated towards them, because I needed an outlet, and they were able to help my mom and my grandma have that outlet as well. Because even though it's you and you think, well, I'm the one that's pregnant and I'm the one that's going through all this, your mom and your grandma are going through the same thing, just in a little bit of a different way. So they had their support, I had my support, and then the next thing that happened was they gave me a bunch of like portfolios, and each family had their own portfolio, and in the portfolio it had all types of pictures of everybody that's in the family. So it would be like who the uncle would be, and the aunt would be, and the grandparents, and all that stuff, and where they're from, their hobbies, what they do career-wise. So it's a lot of information, but I went through a few, and then all of a sudden, like, this weight almost was lifted off of my shoulders, and I felt like I can breathe as soon as I opened this one family's portfolio. And I was like, this is it. This is my family. So then from there they contact the family, and it's kind of, I don't get to talk to the family. It's more, there's a person in the middle that kind of talks. It's like a messenger kind of. So from that point on, it was, paperwork and, constantly keeping in contact, making sure my decision hasn't changed, how the baby's doing, what the plan is, and go ahead. If you want to go out, you can go out. Close the door. Love you. Sorry, my daughter was in here for a little bit and then I think she got bored. So I found my family and I was getting excited, and then it happened where we did the Le Mans class, and we had to pick our hospital, and things kind of started sinking in, and my mind and my body was like preparing for motherhood. Labor was horrible, and me and the adoption agency and the hospital all kind of came up with an agreement that it would probably be best and easier on me if once my son, he was a boy, once my son was born, that there was no contact. Like, there was no holding and making eye contact and that kind of stuff. So right when he came out, they took him. He was out of the room. I didn't even get to hear him cry. And they cleaned him up and everything outside of the room. And, I finished doing what I had to do. And it kind of sunk in for a little bit. And, I said, hey, my mind is not going to change, but I would like to hold him and just look in his eyes one time. So they did. They brought him in, and it was quick. I mean, they gave me enough time to look at him and comprehend that this is mine. And then it was passed on, and he was passed on and passed on and passed on, and then he was out of the room. So it was very quick, and I understand why that process happens, because the more that you're holding your child, you're bonding, it's going to be rough on the baby as well as you. So that was the last time that I saw him until a few months later. So that night, after all my crying and sleeping, I called the nursery and I was like, my mind still isn't going to change. Can I just feed him one time? And I don't know if the whole story is true, or if somebody like a family member or even the adoption agency interfered with that, because they told me, yeah, sure, that next time he wakes up, we'll bring him on down and you can feed him real quick. I was all excited. I waited for hours, and I called back down to the nursery, and they're like, oh, well, he woke up and he was really fussy, so we went ahead and fed him. So my shot kind of went out the window. The next day, I was cleared to go home, so I left the hospital empty-handed, and still it sets in more and more, because I think your mind and your body instantly is in a motherhood moment. Like, the second you give birth to that child, your body's like, I'm a mom, let's go. We got stuff we gotta get done, you know what I mean? And I was having all those feelings and all those emotions, and there was no, I had nothing to express those to. There was no baby there, So I was depressed for about a week or two. I laid around and really didn't do much because I didn't have anybody to talk to. I was alone. So then after that, I came to the conclusion I'm not going back to school. So I didn't graduate high school. I ended up being homeschooled for a year, and then I just decided, you know what, I'm going to go get my GED and start going to college and do something else. So I didn't want, and that's the only regret out of this whole story. The only thing I regretted was not going back to school. All because I was afraid of what somebody was going to say, or, you know, being judged and having to face people when they knew when I left school for summer break I was pregnant, and I came back to school and there's no baby. I wasn't ready to face that. I wasn't ready to be judged. Now that I'm older, you know, it's such a positive and amazing experience. But when you're young, you care what people think. And I did. I cared about what was going to be said about me. So that's the only regret that I have. But you have closed adoptions, you have semi-open adoptions, and you have open adoptions. I have semi-open, which is I get pictures and letters, and when he was about 2 or 3 months old, I actually got to meet the adoptive parents and my son at a park, and we got to spend a few hours together. And she brought me gifts. I brought her gifts for my son, as far as I made him like a little album of me and my family. So if there's a day that he wants to know who I am, there was a letter in there explaining why I made the decision that I made and that he's very loved. And then she also wrote me a letter, and she gave me a necklace. I have it put up because I'm so afraid that it's going to break and I don't want to ever lose it. So I have it put up in my jewelry box. But it was a pendant that her mom had given her. And I think it meant like hope or love. And it was a symbol. So it was a beautiful experience. And then after that, it went back to pictures and letters. And that's all it'll be, unless, you know, he wants to find me when he's older. I don't know what the future holds. But yeah, and I chose semi-open because I didn't want closed. I didn't want to not know anything about him. But I didn't want open because I didn't want to be in and out of his life, and I didn't want to confuse him. I just wanted him to have a normal life. And yeah, so that's my story. And for a few years, my heart had a hole in it. You feel that there's a piece missing. There's something missing in your life. But when I had my daughter at 21, the hole kind of closed. I didn't forget about him. The feelings are still there. It's more my mind and my body is like, okay, like we're actually doing this motherhood thing. I've been waiting for years to do this motherhood thing, if that makes any sense at all. So having her helped quite a bit. My camera totally shut off on me. But what I was saying is the next video should be hopefully a lot happier. I don't want anybody to feel sad or upset when they watch my videos, but this is me. This is a real life experience that changed my life, and I wanted to share it with you guys. So that's it. Thank you for watching. Please like this video and subscribe if you haven't already. And I will see you guys in the next one. Bye.